Yay! So we're live. Well, I am so excited. My name is Marissa, and I am the marketing and creative director for Seeking Excellence. And I am super excited to introduce Cara Everhart, who we go way back, way back. So, Cara, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a fun fact about you, as well as just your journey through faith, through all of this, please.
Perfect. So, hi everyone. My name is Cara Everhart. I'm actually a Catholic school teacher, and as you can see, I'm in my classroom where the Wi-Fi is excellent and the whiteboards are superb. A fun fact about me. So let's see. I don't know if this would be considered a fun fact. I'm 5'11" and 3/4. People try to say that I'm 6 foot, but I'm like 5'11".
And 3/4. Wow.
Pretty precise. And also during quarantine, I got into a little hobby, which I am obsessed with now. I started making rosaries. So I have only 3 that I've done so far. So there's 1, 2, check that out. Gotta have that little sparkle there.
Nice.
And then 1 more. You got the Holy Family as the centerpiece. Always watching out.
Love.
Yes. And we do go way back. My journey through faith. Speaking of going way back, so we went to the same Catholic school together.
Yes, we did. Same elementary school as well as high school.
Yes. And during that time, I think that's where my faith really began to grow. My mother is very active in the Catholic faith, and she really inspired me to kind of keep that going in my life. And it's funny, at the school that we went to, you know how in 8th grade they vote you for different things,
Yeah.
the person with, I'm interested, what were you voted for before I say?
Oh my gosh, you have to guess. You have to guess what I was voting.
Or the person to be like a celebrity or something.
Oh my gosh. So I got the person most likely to be seen on the cover of Vogue. I was so flattered.
It makes so much sense. Look how gorgeous you
No,
are.
it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. I love
So funny.
I
So what'd you get?
anything that, well, it's glamorous in its own way. I got voted most religious, Marissa.
Voted most religious? Wow. Okay.
Best singing voice, so a little bit of both there.
See, and I didn't know that you were such a singer back then. Were you like in the choir or?
No, so it was so funny.
We didn't even have a choir, actually.
We didn't have a choir, Marissa.
We had Mr. Ratto, remember that?
No, I actually, so you know how like we would have little masses at the school?
Yeah.
I would for the solos and would do the little solos of the mass way back when.
Nice. So how have you kind of evolved on this journey? I know we'll talk more about your singing later, but I definitely want to hear more about, number one, the rosary and how that's impacted your life, but just how has that solid Catholic school education kind of carried you through adulthood? And what do you, I guess, take the most from those experiences in your everyday life now?
So my Catholic school education has impacted everything about me as a person. I mean, look at here I am today, a Catholic school teacher. So it's really been the foundation of who I am. After Catholic school, I went on to a public college, and it was such a different world. It was completely different than what I was expecting. And I think the fact that I went to the Catholic school, through the system of the Catholic school, really influenced how I was able to carry myself through that time in my public school experience. It made me look at the world differently, see everything through the beauty of God. And it's truly shaped every aspect of my being. And that's why I want to give back and be a part of such this beautiful Catholic faith that we have, and pass it on to the junior high students here. I think this is such a pivotal age for kids in growing in the faith, and so it's an honor to be able to bring that love of our faith to them and inspire them in that way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the one thing that stands out the most about you for me is I always think about, and I wish that we could still be doing this, but we will again, 9:30 mass on Sundays. I have to sit in the front, like not the front, but the front, the front area because I'm a Eucharistic minister and I always am doing that at 9:30 mass. And seeing you, I always remember watching you walk up for communion with like your sister and Josh, who is your boyfriend, as well as your mom. And I think your sister has kids, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so seeing them. And every time I would see you, I was just so awestruck about, oh my gosh, like she seems to exude this great faith and just this peace being here, and her whole family is here. And it's rare. Like looking back at all of the kids that we went to school with through elementary school, through our high school years, it's really rare to see them still practicing and standing firm in their faith. So seeing you just as this like walking, shining example was just kind of mind blowing. And I know like it's so funny because that quote or like that statement is so true about you never know who's watching you. And I think it makes sense because there's people that are looking at you and are really saying, oh my gosh, like here is Cara, and she's making sure to come to mass every single week, and she's just exuding this grace and this presence. I want to be more like that.
Oh,
And
you're so sweet.
so serious. It's like there's this power there, and I feel like we don't even realize it, but people are watching us, and it's up to us to help the younger generation, even the older generation, those that have fallen away. What do you do as a teacher to really make sure you get that message across to your kids?
Wow.
I
I
know
love
that was a mouthful.
another
Gee.
great question. I love that question. As a teacher, what do I do to get that? I think the best way is to speak from the heart and from experience. And if I'm looking at things in our religion book as merely factual and not taking in, personal experience with it too, it might be a little bit more difficult for them to connect to it. And I think what you said is so true. Being young people, it is hopefully inspirational to them that it can be maintained, because oftentimes, when you go to church, you'll see people who are older, and which is wonderful, and I love that, but it is hard and rare to find younger people generally, or at least in my experience. And so for the students to see someone that is on the younger side still participate in that faithful life, I think that is what I try to to show forth to them so they can see that and hopefully model it in their own lives. And like
Mhm.
I said, just really sharing my personal faith journey with them, and doing things that they can join in too. So in class, we'll do the rosary together sometimes. Recently, we just started it where I'll say, "All right, I'm not going to lead it. You're
Oh,
leading."
nice.
And it was so cute just to hear them lead the prayers. And afterwards, I had them share their experience with me of how they felt doing it. And they really enjoyed taking ownership of that and being a part of that with me.
I love that. That's just setting them up for success and really grounding them in a solid foundation to just become the best Catholics that they can be, which I know is hard. When I did my live video, we're doing this recording series right now for the team, just talking about what the rosary means to us and just like our background and history with the rosary. I touched on how when I was a kid, we would have every single month a rosary, and it would be at my grandmother's sister's houses, so like my great aunts. And every single month at 3 o'clock on a specific Sunday, our entire family would meet. And this is like a ton of people. And we would all meet. And at 3 o'clock, we'd be on our knees and we'd be saying a rosary together. And as a kid, I was like, really? Is this necessary? And I remember looking around the room and seeing all of my aunts and my uncles and my grandparents and like my mom, my dad, just being so like reverent and just so engaged in it that I had no idea that like 20 years later, that would have such an effect on my life, to where during the quarantine, as you know, like we couldn't make contact with family, and a lot of our immediate family lives far out, like for us, like Inland Empire, which is like an hour or so away. But I just remembered so clearly that feeling of togetherness and unity that we used to have. So I initiated us to have just one more rosary like that over Zoom.
Aw.
And it was just, I don't know if they feel the same way about it, but I felt like it was so needed and so powerful because there is such grace and presence when it's set together. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about group rosaries.
I love that story. It's funny. I tried to do the same thing with my family too. So
I thought it was just me.
I love it. That's great minds think alike. I try to do the same thing with my family. I have such a big extended family, and most of them live up in Oregon. So I try to have them do little FaceTime calls, and they would actually join in. And I love what you said. The part about your family would get together at 3, right? The hour that
Yeah.
for us, that powerful hour, and get on your knees and pray. Them modeling that for you shaped the person that you are today. And that's how my faith journey started too, by seeing it modeled with my mother and then seeing it modeled with my grandmother. I don't know if you do the same thing when the consecration happens, but my grandma, she would whisper to me when I was a little girl, and she would whisper in my ear and she would say, okay, when you see I'm holding it up, say, my Lord and my God, my Lord and my God, which is what Thomas said when he realized that it was actually Jesus in front of him. So I don't know, do you do the same kind of thing?
No, but I'm going to.
Now it's adding to my
My
list.
kids are going to be doing that.
Oh my goodness.
Adding that to the list.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's amazing. It really shows the strength in family and the strength in tradition and how important it is for us to just kind of carry that legacy on. So, I mean, who would have thought? Like 10, 15 years ago, I would have never thought we'd be sitting here having this conversation about faith. Like God works in mysterious ways, but I'm so grateful for this time with you.
Me too.
Yeah,
Thank
I want to talk a little bit about the 54-day Rosary Novena.
you. Yes.
Yes. So for those that are watching, Cara actually initiated a 54-day Rosary Novena at the start of the quarantine. That was around like March-ish, March, April. And I happened to see that you were posting about it on Facebook. Now, I am a huge fan of novenas. You can find me doing like 2 or 3 in any given time. Literally, I'm like that big of a fan of them. But I had never heard of the 54-day novena. So when you brought that up, it blew my mind. Literally. Yeah. So, and I knew like going into quarantine that my only option was to come out of it a better person, a more spiritually based person, and someone that just had a clearer direction of what God wanted me to do. Miracles happen because that definitely did happen. But I want to talk a little bit about your journey with it, how you discovered it, and what that was like to commit, because you were on there every night on YouTube, every night going live. And the nights you couldn't, you had it pre-recorded, and it was just so amazing to see both you and Josh, your boyfriend Josh, doing that together. So yeah, let's talk about that.
So the 54-day Rosary Novena. Thank you to Jackie Angel for
Yes, shout out Jackie. We love Jackie.
Angel, who is amazing. If you haven't heard her speak, please go and watch her on YouTube. Jackie Angel did this video where she talked about the 54-day Rosary Novena, and I had never heard of it until I saw her video. And it was such a well done and funny video. She told the story of how she had heard about the novena, and at that current time, she was dating someone. Things were, not entirely where she had hoped they would be. I believe she was hoping that he would be more involved in the spiritual way of going to mass more often and things like that. And so she starts this novena. And the 54-day Rosary Novena, for those who are watching, is what it says, 54 days of praying the rosary continuously. So for the first 27 days, you're praying in petition for something. And the next 27 days, you're praying in thanksgiving for whether or not you received what you had asked for, which is, I think, such an interesting take on it, where we have to be thankful even if we didn't get what we had asked for, because ultimately it's God's will, and God's will is obviously the best for us, whatever it was that he chose for us. And so when Jackie Angel was praying this novena, she was praying for her boyfriend, if I'm not mistaken, to get more involved in the faith. And so during the Rosary Novena, she notices, oh, wow, he's starting to get more involved in the faith. He's going to church, texting her about that. And she's getting really excited. And I believe, I don't know if it was the first time around with the novena or a second time around with the novena, at one point, they eventually broke up.
Yeah.
For what occurred. So she had to go and do, prayers and thanksgiving when she clearly was not joyful in the fact that she had to break up, or that he broke up with her. And so when I saw that video, it really inspired me. At that moment in time, I was in a relationship, an on and off again, a relationship for 6 years with someone that I really, really cared about. And things weren't entirely progressing in the way that either of us, I believe, were hoping. And I just wanted some clarity on what to do, how to move forward. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do this 54-day Rosary Novena. And mind you, I had never prior to this been avid in praying the Rosary. So
Wow. Okay.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's wow. Ambitious.
It's powerful. It's really powerful. So I started doing the 54-day Rosary Novena, and my prayers were for clarity with the situation, whatever was supposed to happen, that it was made clear to me, strength to move forward with whatever decision was to happen, peace and joy from making that choice and that decision. So as the Rosary is going through, the novena is going through, things seem to be changing for the better. And then eventually something happened where I just said, okay, this is the clarity that I needed. And I had to end that relationship. That same week that I ended that relationship, it was, I believe, around a Monday. And on that Friday, it was All Saints Day, which is funny because this is around the time frame. It's interesting. Coincidence? I think not. So Friday was All Saints Day. I'm a Catholic school teacher, so I had already gone to school with my to church with my students. My mom hadn't, and so I said, okay, I'll go with you to church, and I'll pray the Rosary in the chapel in the back. So I'm going, I'm doing my Rosary. I'm looking to the door to see if the person that I was dating, if things would change, and he'd walk through the door, and nothing happens. And I go up to the communion line to get blessed, and on my way back, I see an old friend from college, Josh. And it's funny because after Mass, my mom said, oh, we should stick around and say hi to Josh and talk to him. And I'm just not in the mood to do anything. I'm just still so devastated. And she's like, come on, let's just say hi. And I was like, hello. So we're talking with him and we're saying hi. And eventually he texted me in the evening saying, hey, it was so nice to catch up with you. Would you like to hang out sometime? And at that moment, I was like, okay, let's keep it on a friend basis. And for a while, we kept it that way. And eventually, it's funny, the moment when I kind of had the yes moment, like this is the person, was when we prayed the Rosary together for the first time.
Oh, yes.
He had never prayed the Rosary with anybody like that before. And so it was just such a powerful, loving experience. And I was like, okay, well, there you go. And it's funny because he was actually praying the Rosary for an entire year before he had met me every single day. So that was an inspiration to me too.
To meet someone, or just to be like, what was the intention behind it?
He was just praying for a friend. He was praying for a friend who was going through something, which is sweet. So that's, I tell you, he's such a giving person that he's like praying for, like he always does. He's such a sweetheart. But a little funny story is the fact that at the time when we met, again, we were both 27. So 27 and 27 is 54. And 54 novena. And in between our birthdays is 54 days. And then we got
gosh.
I know, that's the weird one. Isn't that weird? No, it's real. Isn't that weird?
Wow.
And 54 days after we started hanging out as friends is when we got together. So it's just that number. Crazy.
That's pretty magical. So what inspired you to lead this Rosary that we did during quarantine?
So during quarantine, It was such a surreal experience. I had actually, that same week that we had to close down everything, I was on a trip for work. I had to go and do something for work for a few days. And so when I came back, everybody was already gone. The kids were gone. And so I didn't think that that would be my last time
Yeah.
to see them. And I think it was the sadness of that, the devastation of that, and not knowing when I would see them again. And I'm the eighth grade homeroom teacher, so it's such a big year,
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yes.
you know? And
Yeah.
they were so looking forward to graduation. And I knew that they were just going through this turmoil, that you could just see it on their faces, like the sadness of what is going on. They're confused, they're scared about everything. So I just was like, you know what? We need to have some sort of community building experience and also pray for our world and for the current situation. So I just was like, let's just try this. Let's just do this YouTube live thing and do the rosary together as a class. I would post it on Google Classroom every single night, and I'd post it on Facebook and open it up to my friends and family as well.
Yeah, which is how I found out about it. And the experience for me, I'll say, was life-changing. I, as I said before, I've done so many novenas and I pray the rosary pretty often, usually daily. But something about the 54-day novena challenged me. And I don't know if it's because, like, as you know, like the mysteries are different. It doesn't follow the same cadence. You really have to, and I want to say it was Jackie, one of her videos that I watched. She really explained it as you have to be all in when you're doing it, because for each prayer that you say, each Hail Mary that you say, you're imagining these roses, whatever color they are. You just imagine them falling around you or falling around whoever it is you're praying for, or the object that you're praying that you'll get. And it takes so much of all of your senses, all of your imagination, and just all of your being kind of to invest into this novena. So I did it, and can I say that my intention totally came true? I would say that it's definitely put me on a path to get what I prayed for. Because of course, like everyone, I was praying for a spouse, and I mean, there's no ring here yet, but that's fine, because what I found was so much greater than that. Like being introduced to almost this other world of Catholics that believe and have a heart on fire for God, just like I do, that I didn't know existed. Because as you know, like growing up, we're not in Los Angeles. Everyone thinks like, oh, LA, like we're in the heart of LA. We're not. We're in a small, it's kind of like a town, the South Bay, like everybody knows everybody. It's not this trendy, progressive place where you meet people every 5 seconds. It's really like it's home. And just being there, it's hard to meet other people, whether it's friendship, whether it's business relationship, that are on that same page as you spiritually. So the 54-day Rosary Novena changed my life in ways that I wasn't even asking for. I,
Oh,
I get it. And like I get why it had to happen, because God saw that what I was praying for, yes, it's significant. And yes, I believe like that is still, that is still out there and that will still be answered. But what he wants me to do before that is just far greater. And like, I never even knew. So anyone that's kind of on the fence about doing it, it's a commitment, but it's so worth it. Like I've done another, actually, I want another round.
yes, more and more.
Yeah, I did another round. I think I started it like at the end of July, a few weeks after we finished. And interesting enough, what I was praying for, halfway through, I discovered I didn't actually want it. So I
Oh,
did, yeah, yeah. It kind of opened my eyes. And what I thought I wanted really wasn't what I wanted. Like when I really went through the process, and I didn't necessarily just stop and say, okay, well, if I don't want this intention anymore, I'm just gonna let this rosary go. I kept it going, and I did, both the request part as well as the prayer of the gratitude at the end for the last 27 days. And it was just eye-opening the way that God works. And it took me doing the novena also to discover it was what I didn't want. So, yeah, I've had 2 experience of that actually so far.
Something powerful in the rosary in that it does bring the clarity that you are wishing for,
Mhm.
and it inspires you to move forward in your life and whatever God leads you to do. It really gives that peace that you that nothing else in this world can really
Mhm.
provide.
Mhm. Yeah. And I know we were talking yesterday just about the things that we miss about actually like physically going to church because in LA County, like we still can't actually sit inside of a church. It has to be outside. And you and I both really agreed that the part we miss the most is having that safe space and that area where we can just exist and can just sit in front of the statue of either Mary or Saint Joseph and just be there. How and what would you suggest for anyone watching this video? How can they create that kind of safe space and get into a routine of the rosary, regardless of where they are?
So I think that's the beautiful thing about the rosary. I was actually just talking to a coworker about it today. I showed her the rosaries that I made, and she's like, "Oh wow, those are like really big ones, really long ones." And she said it reminds me of the nuns back in the day where they have the really long ones on their
Hip.
side.
Yeah.
The thing about that is that they can just pray it immediately right where they are. And so I think it's important to maybe just keep a rosary with you, or even I bought my students during the quarantine. I bought them all a decade bracelet, and so easy just to take that off and just use that. And I've mentioned this before in the past. We have 10 fingers.
Yes. And that's my favorite rosary. Honestly, that is my favorite way to say the rosary.
I mean, God made us that way with those 10 fingers. We use our hands to pray the rosary. But I would suggest for someone that's wanting to get into that, routine, it's important to just find someone that can keep you accountable. It's really helpful to have a prayer buddy.
Mhm.
Um, and like you said, your world has kind of been open to all the. There are so many young Catholics out there that who do this, and it's funny because I never realized it until the social media. There are so many amazing Catholic people on social media, and they even do their own live rosaries on social media itself, which is great. So finding an accountability partner and starting small if you need to with just a decade a day. Takes 5 minutes to pray a decade. And that's really all it takes to kind of get you started. Setting up a nice little quiet space in your house somewhere where you won't get distracted, and maybe lighting a candle and getting in the mood for it too, I think could be beneficial.
Mhm. I love that. And you touched on something that I think is also important with the accountability partner is just having a partner in general that you can pray with, just regardless, whether it's just basic, just traditional prayers, whether it's the rosary, but taking it a step further. So, October obviously is the month of the rosary. So, at Seeking Excellence, we've done this really big rosary month long challenge to just really shine light on how important and how many graces you can be gifted by saying it every day. One thing that we're going to be kind of transitioning into for November is focusing a little bit more on saying novenas and saying prayers with and for a spouse. Now I know, like obviously, like I know you're not married, I mean basically, but you're not married. But the one thing that I also felt really just like a strong pull by was the presence that both you and Josh, your boyfriend, had on these lives you guys would do and the power of praying together. What would you say is important and what has changed in your prayer life now that you have this amazing person that you can share that journey with? And like, has that opened it up for him more? Has it opened it up for you more? Let's talk a little bit about that because I mean, it's important and it's powerful.
So Josh has been such an amazing presence in my life. And he's really inspired me to be a better person. It's funny, we went to church back when we could go to church. I think it was uh, something for Father's Day, I think. Maybe I don't know. I can't remember what it was. But the priest was talking about the qualities that make up a good father, and everything he listed. It was like a series of 10 things. Josh was everything that the priest said, and I just looked at Josh. I'm like, that's literally you. He's he's selfless. He's loving. He's honestly the most amazing person I've ever met in my life, and his prayerful self has really inspired me to continue on with the prayer life because like I said before, I was prior to the rosary novena, I wasn't doing the rosary every day, and after the rosary novena we would do the rosary every day. And actually this week we started to do the chaplet during our lunches together. We'll just FaceTime each other and do the chaplet together during lunch. And so it really is a blessing to find someone who's like-minded and has that inner beauty, the Christ-like Saint Joseph-like beauty. And he'll say this prayer to me, or this not really necessarily a prayer, I guess, more of a commitment. He'll say, I'm your Saint Joseph, or like I'm praying to be like your Saint Joseph, and or I commit to being your Saint Joseph. That's the phrase that he uses.
That's
So
that's pretty powerful.
oh, it's so powerful. We did the I don't know if you know Father Donald Calloway,
I do. Hmm.
the Saint Joseph consecration together. So it just further shows me he's willing to do literally anything in this beautiful realm with me. He'll like he just said, sure, I'll do the Rosary Novena with you on YouTube Live every single night and drive over to your house after work every single day. Yeah,
That's a keeper.
keep her
Yeah,
definitely.
for sure. What advice do you have for someone that, is pretty strong in their faith, but they're more interested in just kind of getting that relationship and locking down that person over really looking for those qualities of Saint Joseph? What are some things that when you were single, you were really looking at to decide like, hey, like before I can commit, like I need to see these things?
Well, I have been on this journey. It wasn't until recently where I just really let myself realize my value and my worth and what I deserve in a person. And there's so many things, and I keep telling my students this. Just recently I said to them, your happiness cannot come from another person. Your happiness, do not put all your joy, all your happiness, all your expectations into one person, because
Mhm.
people are fallible and they can hurt you, and that's okay because we are human. Put your faith and your trust in God, and when you recognize your value and your worth as a person, you'll recognize the types of qualities that you deserve. And we are all deserving of love that is selfless, of love that does not pressure you, of love that recognizes the beauty that is you and helps you to become a better person. Something that Josh always says to me, and I love it. I think it's one of the main things that has stuck out in my mind throughout our relationship. He always says to me, there's this shining light version of Kara. Whenever I'm feeling down, he'll like, remember your shining light version of yourself. It's there. It's there. Go for it. And I'm here for you. And he'll always say this too, which is such a beautiful thing. Whenever I'm feeling down, he'll say, give it to me. I'll help carry that burden for you. And I think the kind of person that everyone deserves is someone that is like Saint Joseph, that is humble and patient and kind, loving, self-sacrificing, and don't settle for anything less than what you deserve. Ladies out there, please don't settle for anything less than what you deserve, because life is hard enough as it is. As a coworker told me this once, life is hard enough as it is. So you want to find someone that can journey through life with you and make it a calming, loving experience.
Mhm. That makes me want to cry. That's that's beautiful. I mean, it's so well said. And I think in this day and age of just like swiping left, swiping right, there's just nothing, there's just nothing there. I meet so many people because I work with a lot of people that are younger than me, a lot of girls, and they don't see their value. And it drives me crazy because like the things that they say about themselves or the things that they need to do or lower themselves to for this attention is just not what God has planned for us. And I'm not saying to be this complete modest Mary version of, that a Catholic girl that's kind of like stereotypical. Like, be yourself. Absolutely be yourself and be the best version of yourself. And that's who God wants you to be. So find the medium and I think he'll come. So
You will. God has a plan for every single one of us. And it's just trusting in whatever the plan is that he has for you.
100%. And just leaning into it and letting it take you wherever it's meant to take you.
Easier said than done. And
Oh
so
my gosh, I know.
those who are watching, I totally understand that it's like, oh, okay, yeah, but it works. It works. I am living proof of that fact that it works.
Yeah, it's just about trusting the process and just believing that God. Oh, wait, no, I wanted to reference this. I heard Jackie Angel say something on another video, and she said, oh my gosh, I wrote this down. I think the quote was, God will never show you gold and give you silver, something along those lines. And I wrote that down because like that just touched me so deeply, because I think a lot of times like we see these great examples of love and these great men that do exemplify Saint Joseph, but you just wonder and you question, well, am I ever going to get that? Like, am I going to have that in my life? And when Jackie Angel said that, it just was like a light went off. And it made so much sense because not only does it affirm that, yeah, those people are out there, like believe it. God showed you that they exist. They're there, but also to not settle for less than gold because like we're diamonds. Like forget the gold. We're diamonds, honey.
No,
So
it's so true. It's so true. And I think something that I've also really enjoyed about Jackie Angel is that she keeps it real too. Is everything's not going to be this, Prince Eric version of life. So ladies who are like, oh, everything is supposed to be perfect before I can be with this person. We're all imperfect beings, right? And so I think there's a balance. If this person is a wonderful, loving, selfless person, but they have some faults here and there that are not huge red flags or anything like that at all. Like we all have our faults. I have my faults. It's finding someone that helps you grow and move on from these imperfections, and that you help as well. So the only one, like I said before, the only one that's perfect is God. So just keeping in mind, keeping it real, and that's what I appreciate about Jackie Angel too, is that she doesn't over glamorize a marriage, because marriage is it's a commitment like anything in life, right?
yeah,
So
it's not always going to be easy and you got to stick it through. So, wow, this conversation went somewhere I didn't plan. This was not on the outline, Cara.
what outline?
Well, I know we're kind of getting close to our time, but it doesn't matter because we're recording this, we're not live. So I want to talk just a little bit more about music and just your journey. Cara, for anyone who doesn't know, has an amazing voice. Amazing, which I'm hoping that she will grace us with a little bit later. But I do want to talk about your journey. I know Christian music was where you started. I know Catholic hymns is where you're going, and you have a mutual appreciation for both. So, and I also want to hear your views on Saint Cecilia. Like, is she your girl? Is she your patron saint?
Goodness, that's so funny that you say that. So don't get me wrong, I love Catholic hymns, I love Christian music, I love it all. I think there's such beauty in both. There's such the traditionalism of the Catholic hymn is a beautiful thing, and the appreciation for the Christian music is also, it's just such a beautiful thing. There's beauty in both. And it's funny that you say Saint Cecilia. You would think that would be my favorite saint. My saint confirmation name is, she's actually not, but I do, trust me, I appreciate Saint Cecilia. I love Saint Cecilia, which is funny because I think I actually tried to end my first Rosary novena on St. Cecilia Day, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
That was in my mind for sure.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. But my musical experience, I never really knew about Christian music until I was maybe 20. And when I turned 20, a friend reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're doing this Christian band for the church. We're going to be playing at confirmation retreats and things like that, and in the church. Do you want to come and try to sing for us?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." And I didn't know anything about really Christian music other than what I grew up listening to in the mass. So it was a completely life-changing experience. It was a beautiful thing, and I'm very thankful to have had that kind of experience. And it's really carried me on in my life. And now Christian music is pretty much one of the only types of music that I listen to. I listen to it all the time. And I used to teach vocals at the school that I'm at. I taught it in addition to English. And I would just share all these Christian songs with my students. And to this day, I have students who have moved on from the school, and they still listen to the Christian songs.
Wow,
It's so great.
that's awesome. So what would you say is like your all-time favorite Christian song and favorite Catholic hymn?
Oh my goodness, that is such a hard question. Whenever anybody like asks that question, I always have such a difficult time with it, and I don't know why. Because there's so many good ones. Catholic hymn. There's a singer that actually sings at the church where I work at the school, and she sings the song "As the Deer Longs." I don't know if you know that one.
Don't ask me to sing it because I'm not.
Deer Longs. Her running streams. It's just such a beautiful song. To those of you who don't know, it's just so gorgeous, and it's very relaxing. And Christian song that is my favorite. There's so many. I guess. Goodness, I really like the song "Build My Life" by Pat Barrett, and there's another song that he sings that's really great. It's called "Better," and one of the words that I really appreciate it. His goal with that song is to kind of show that God is better than anything else that I could want in my life. And there's a line that says, basically, you're better than having people like me, like, cause I feel like in life, we always want people to like us so much, such a thing. And in that song, he brings up, I'm not phrasing it correctly, but he brings up the fact, like, God, you're better than the desire to be liked by other people. So I think that's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. My phone's like going off like crazy. I don't know why.
Are they calling you to do a Vogue cover shoot?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let me get this call actually.
Oh, glamorous.
So last thing I'll say just in regards to music is I feel like Christian music kind of gets a bad rap in Catholic churches. And I feel like the only time you really hear them is like if it's a youth mass, like, like the 5 o'clock mass that happens on Sunday nights, or really progressive churches. Why is that? Like, what do you think that is? Is it just because the tradition isn't there, or like, what is it? I've always really struggled with that because sometimes I feel bad when I'm at mass and like I hear a Christian song and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm happy they're singing this because I can actually feel something now. Not saying that I don't feel anything with Catholic hymns, because I do, but it's different. I feel like when it relates to a Catholic song, it puts me more in a spiritual mindset, of course, and I go kind of within and I just want to have that reflective moment. But with Christian music, it's like I want to be out. I want to like hear, I want to connect, I want to talk, and I want to embrace that. Why do you think there is such a difference? And can we bridge both?
It's funny. I think you kind of just touched on it yourself. When you're, this is not the way that I always thought. So I'm just going to preface it with that. I was not always this thought process. I just realized recently, mind you, I love both Catholic hymns and I love Christian music. I love them both. But what I've noticed recently is that when it comes to the Christian music, I want to stray away from making it about, like, if I were to perform it at the church, making it about me. And I feel like that's what can happen when it comes to the Christian music, because it's so beautiful and vibrant and filled with different instruments, and you got your bass, you got your drums, you got your guitar, like things like that. Sometimes that it can lead us towards a place of making it more about us instead of focusing on what the mass is truly meant for. And that's what I've personally noticed. And you kind of even touched on yourself. You're like, when I hear the Christian song, I'm like a part of it. Like I'm feeling like you are. And you are. And that's what's so great. Like I've been to so many Christian concerts, and I can tell you the peace that fills in the space there, the room. It's just beautiful. And it is gorgeous. But I still feel like I'm at a concert, because I am at a concert. And that's what I think is what I've noticed is, it's funny. I went to a church where there wasn't any like Christian type of music, and it was more this kind of Gregorian chant type of sound. And then I went to a place where they had like bass, and they're like plucking the bass and like doing things like that, which I love because I'm a musician and I love that. But then I recognize, I'm like, this is taking away from the reverence of what I should be feeling right now. I'm focusing on the music, which I love to focus on the music, but I shouldn't be focusing on the music right now, should I? You know? And I think that's what I've noticed as of recently. And of course, I think there's a place for both. What I do love, like about adoration time, I've been to adoration where they played like, simple Christian music with guitar and vocals. And I think that's a beautiful place for it. But during the mass, there should just be, not that there should be, but I appreciate it when you're really zoned in on what you should be zoned in on. And then that's the Eucharist, and recognizing Jesus's presence in the Eucharist, and making it not about us and about him. So that's my take on it. I don't know.
No, it's beautiful. I don't think I've ever really thought about it before this conversation, but it makes a lot of sense. So now, how can I beg for you to sing us a song to close us out? Because I know that's a keyboard in front of you. So it's not like you knew I was going to ask or anything.
I had no idea that you were going to ask me to play a song. And I thought to myself, well, maybe she'll ask me.
Well, since it's there, I insist.
I will oblige you with that. I will oblige. I don't know, is it oblige?
Day. Hey, we're all there with you.
Okay, so let's get started. This song, before I get started, is actually written by or sung by a singer named Cody Carnes, and he is the husband. I don't know if you know Carrie Joe. He's the husband of Carrie Joe, and this song, I heard it once recently, and I just thought it was so beautifully done. And I went into the adoration chapel at work, and I just listened to it while I just sat there and admired Jesus. So I hope that it gets you all in that sense of peace and the presence of God. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I just want you and nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you and nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you and nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. I mean, I don't have anything else to say. That was absolutely beautiful, Kara. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amazing. I'm waiting for the album to drop. Like, let me know. Seriously. I mean, beautiful.
Thank
Really.
you so much. And I
Well,
think that's what's beautiful about that song. It kind of touched into the conversation that we were talking about, right?
mhm.
It's not about us. He said, "I'm sorry when I just sang another song, like I made it like about me." And it's not. It's about I just want you, you know. So that's maybe the bridge right there is this song.
Absolutely. So, last question. If there's one single thing to take away from this entire, well, I'll still call it a live that we did tonight, that our viewers can take and put into their lives to really get them on a great spiritual track, what would that takeaway or challenge be for them?
The rosary is your greatest power, your greatest weapon against evil. It really is. Father Donald Calloway said that the rosary, think of it almost as like a sword, and it will fight against the evil one. It will bring you the peace that you are so longing for. And I want to encourage you to, if you think that you can't get started, you can, because look at me. I never did before. I never prayed the rosary every day like this ever. And if I can do it, I know anyone can. Challenge yourself to start small and build from there. The rosary is your greatest weapon and your greatest blessing.
I love it. And on that note, why don't we close out with a Hail Mary?
Perfect. I love it.
So, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Our Lady of the Rosary, pray for us. Kara, thank you. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I always get way too excited before I close out my prayer, and I'm like screaming and throwing confetti and haven't even closed it out. I do that every time.
Thank you so much, Marissa, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. I just want to keep you on so we can keep talking and talking and talking, but I know you have to go. But let's do this again, please. You are invited back on Seeking Excellence anytime. Just let me know. And maybe we can get Josh next time too.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. So, as always, follow us, subscribe, and go and follow Cara. Share your music page because I would love for everyone to follow that.
My music page is Cara Everhart Music. It is on Instagram. And if you also go on YouTube, you can look up Cara Everhart on there, and my music is on YouTube as well.
Awesome. And we will also drop that in the comments as well. So, thank you, Cara. I hope you have an amazing rest of your night and we will talk soon, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Bye.